Conference championship weekend is in the books. The college football playoff is set. But before we go over the college football playoff, we got to go over what happened during conference championship weekend. Before I get into the actual recap, I just want to clarify a few things. I will not be going over the college football playoff in this video. I'm going to make a separate video to go over the college football playoff, exactly how the seedings fell, my thoughts on the matchups and everything like that. I might mention it here and there throughout this video, but I'm going to try to strictly stick to recapping what actually happened in the games. And before I get a million comments asking about it, I am doing President's Predict College Football Playoff. I'm already working on it, so stay tuned. It should be coming out sometime next week. All right, let's get into the recap. We're going to start off with a quick game that we barely predicted and we'll barely talk about. Tulane versus Army. Army beat the fuck out of Tulane. Absolutely beat the fuck out of Tulane. Army, better than I expected, definitely. Again, this is a who gives a fuck bowl. This had no implications on the playoffs, but it was still a conference championship game. Tulane had the worst collapse ever. We need to study the downfall of Tulane the end of the season. They just shit themselves all around, all the way through. Army had a fantastic year. One of the best years Army had in its entire history. Good shit for Army. Good win. Absolute domination. Is it meaningless? Yes, but at least Army won their conference and they come away with something, right? Next game, now we get into the actual games that matter. The Friday night one, UNLV versus Boise State. I got this bitch wrong. I mean, I got most of these games wrong, but that's not here nor there. UNLV got flat out outplayed. In the first half, UNLV looked lost out there. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know what the game plan was. They got shit on by Boise State. Boise State beat them all the way through. The Genty kid, the running back, had a beast game. He had a monster game. But even without his impact, the fucking pass game was destroying UNLV. 21-7 doesn't necessarily look like a beatdown. This shit was 21-0 the majority of the game. UNLV had no chance until like the fourth quarter when they remembered how to play football, started driving down the field, and almost started getting back into it. They had a bunch of missed opportunities. They missed field goals and shit. They could have put up another 17 points. I'm being honest here. Maybe being generous by saying 17, but at least like 10 points they left on the board by just being assholes. In any case, UNLV is trash. I should have known they were trash. And Boise State continues to ride high in this unbelievable season. Their only loss this year was 3-point loss to Oregon, who's undefeated, the best team in college football. Boise State looks dangerous. They clinched a first-round bye. They are going to be waiting for, I think it's Penn State versus SMU. It is a big opportunity for Boise State. And if the matchup falls in the right place for them, they can make it to the semifinal. They really can. Boise State's having an unbelievable season. Genty should be Heisman, but they're going to suck off Travis Hunter and give it to him. But whatever. Boise State, great win. You're in the playoffs now. That's what matters. Next game. Now we get to the Saturday games. Iowa State versus Arizona State. At first, it looked like it was going to be one of those back and forth type of games, right? Arizona State scores a field goal. Iowa State goes down, scores a touchdown. Arizona State goes down, scores a touchdown. It's a 3-point game. And from that point on, Arizona State just pummeled Iowa State. Every which way, through the pass game, through the run game, Arizona State absolutely fucked Iowa State up. The only game I got right this fucking weekend. What a fucking weekend this was for me. Every sport, by the way. College football, NFL, and UFC. Iowa State got outplayed every which way. Through the pass game, through the run game. They were missing their top wide receiver, and they still outplayed Iowa State. Scatterboo is a fucking beast. Nobody's talking about how good this motherfucker is. He is just a dog. And Arizona State riding off an unbelievable season. Mind you, experts, the so-called experts, predicted Arizona State was going to finish last in the Big 12. They won it. They won the Big 12. Unbelievable job by Dillingham and the boys. Dillingham is an amazing head coach. I am rooting for Arizona State. Now, unfortunately, Arizona State ended up getting the 4th seed. They have a first-round bye. But assuming the 5 versus 12 matchup goes the way it's supposed to, Arizona State's going to have to play a certain team. We'll get to who that team is. That I unfortunately cannot root for Arizona State in that game as much as I really, really want to see an Arizona State run. They are so good. The run game is effective. Great coaching. Great pass game. Levitt's a beast. They got a good team. Arizona State's got a good team. Don't sleep on Arizona State. Iowa State, they had a good season too. I can't shit on Iowa State, but they just got outplayed. Completely outplayed. Second quarter, third quarter was just pure domination. Masterclass by Arizona State. Iowa State never had a chance in hell. Never had a chance. That's how bad this Arizona State team pummeled Iowa State. Good win for Arizona State. They secured the first round bye. And they're looking like they're going to... I can't say they're going to make a run because you'll see why I can't say they're going to make a run. But damn it, I wish I could root for this team. Good win for Arizona State. Next game. The SEC Championship. I'm sure the game most of you have been waiting for me to cry and scream about. Georgia versus Texas. Where do I start with this game? The initial start to the game wasn't horrible. It was a defensive matchup. You have two of the best defenses in the SEC going head to head. If you thought it was going to be another high-scoring game like the first time these two teams played, I don't know why. You could see that it was going to be one of those low-scoring type of games, defensive type of games. And even though Texas couldn't find the end zone as many times as they had so many fucking opportunities, they did enough to take the lead. It was like 6-0. They were playing relatively well. Texas, I really thought, had this one. I genuinely thought they were going to clutch up, win the game. They didn't, unfortunately. They got outplayed every which way. The run game was non-existent. Non-existent. It got shut down every which way. They got embarrassed. Embarrassed. It was a disgusting display to watch. I was ashamed of how bad the run game was and just the overall production of this Texas team was. In any case, they were playing relatively well. Heading into halftime, right before, Carson Beck, Sid from Ice Age, who's on crack, broke his fucking elbow or whatever the fuck it was. He injured him shit badly. He might be out for the playoffs too. We'll see. I'm sitting there thinking, let's go, baby. Backup quarterback. I don't even know who the fuck he is. Texas is going to cruise in the second half. Complete opposite happened. This kid for Georgia leads them on the very first drive after halftime, scores a touchdown. Georgia takes a lead, and then it becomes the pitter-patter game, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Long story short, it's 16-13. Texas go down the field. They can't score a touchdown, but they kick a field goal to tie it up, go to overtime. All right, fine. Georgia's missing their fucking starting quarterback. Texas should win this bitch, right? You would expect. But no. Georgia wins the toss. They elect to defer. Texas gets the ball first. I have faith in Sark. I do. But the play calling in that overtime was disgusting. Disgusting. It's 3rd and 10. It's 3rd and 10. Why are you throwing a dump off to the running back? Why are you trying to cruise? Don't try to cruise. Play aggressive. You're already in field goal range. Take a shot at the end zone. Take a shot 10 yards down the fucking field. You have a good offense. You have good receivers. And the receivers were kind of torching that Georgia secondary. Our run game got shut down, but the pass game wasn't horrible. Of course, they dump off to the fucking running back on 3rd down. They don't convert. They kick a field goal. Okay, fine. 19-16. You got to play a little bit fucking defense. They played zero fucking defense. The Georgia quarterback ran down the field, easy first down, From that point, Trevor Etienne just walks his way straight into the end zone. An absolute embarrassing display by the Texas Longhorns. This is a team that I'm expecting to win the national championship, and they continue to fall short in the biggest fucking moments. You cannot have that happen. Now, this was a great win by Georgia. Absolutely unbelievable win by Georgia. This backup quarterback kid played really, really well. However, if I'm Georgia, a Georgia fan, a Georgia future ticket holder, whatever it is, I'd be worried. Because if Carson Beck is out, even though Beck is a bum, it may be difficult to overcome, being without your starting quarterback. They may win the Natty, but without Carson Beck, it's going to be a lot more difficult. I don't give a fuck about Georgia. They secured the 2 seed. They got the first round bye. Yeah. Texas. They needed to win this game, and they failed to. I want to sit here and believe that Georgia is just Texas's kryptonite. Kirby just outplays Sark every time. I'm hoping that's the case. Because every other team Texas has played, they won with ease, relatively. Except Vanderbilt. But in any case, Texas won all those games. Georgia's the only team that gave them problems. So hopefully it's just like Kirby is Sark's kryptonite. That's what I really hope for. In any case, after the initial reaction, after Texas lost the game, I was very concerned. I was very, very concerned because I thought the playoff committee was going to absolutely fuck us. They didn't. Thank God. I'll go over the matchups in a different video. Like I said, I'm not going to go into it here. But I'd put it like this. I'd be a lot more mad if we got fucked. I thought this was going to be an all-time rant video. It kind of is. I've been going on it for a fucking minute now. But it could have been much worse. Recover, become resilient, and stop fucking up. Better defense, better run game, and better play calling. And we can still win the whole thing. Next game. Penn State versus Oregon. What a game this was. This was just an absolute unbelievable game. Back and forth. Beautiful offensive display. Oregon, it felt like, had the edge on Penn State the entirety of the game. That's what's unfortunate. Do I believe Oregon is that good? Yeah. I hate to admit it because I genuinely thought they were fraudulent, but the way this offense flows is just unbelievable. Penn State has a good defense. Say what you want. Yeah, James Franklin, Penn State, they always choke in the biggest games, but this wasn't necessarily a choke. The defense kind of choked, but every big third down, that was the key to this game. Every big third down, Oregon converted. Oregon moved the ball down the field with ease. Easy drives, easy plays. Penn State could not do anything. Now, Penn State always crawled their way back, kind of like Sandusky crawled his way into the Penn State locker room with a bunch of little boys. But they kept it close, and gave Oregon a few problems. It wasn't a sweatless game for Oregon. They weren't just blowing them out. Every time it seemed like Oregon was going to pull away, Penn State crawled their way back in. They kept it close. They lost by 8 points. It was a tough game. And the funniest part about it, Oregon now undefeated, full 13-0, and yet they got fucked. They got absolutely fucked. The seeding-wise, that 8 versus 9 matchup in which they're going to have to play the winner of is not an easy game. Not at all. For all the hard work and effort Oregon put into this season, they might get fucked in the playoffs. We'll see. Penn State, actually, funny enough, got a super easy matchup, too. Again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. I said it's going to be in another video. It was a good win by Oregon. Full-blown domination until the very end, you could say. The good thing about it is that Penn State was never in it. There was never a point where you could sit there and be like, Penn State was genuinely threatening to win this game. Oregon controlled the tempo, controlled the pace, and controlled the game. And that's what's going to lead them to a natty if they make it that far, which I don't think they will, because we'll get to in the college football playoff video. Good win for Oregon. Good effort by Penn State. And if we're really being honest, I think both teams are happy with the outcome of this game. Looking at it, hindsight 2020. Next game, final game, Clemson versus SMU. Clemson flat out outplayed SMU. Again, similar to the Oregon versus Penn State game, Clemson just had control of this the entire time. There was not any point in which you genuinely thought SMU was going to win this game. It was like 14-point game, consistently 7-point game, 10-point game. Clemson played unbelievable. The offense for Clemson played unbelievable. It was just an offensive shootout. Both these games were offensive shootouts. But the funniest part, Clemson chokes badly. SMU leads a glorious comeback and ties the game at 31-31. I don't remember how many seconds were left, but not that much time was left. And of course, Clemson drives down the field with barely any time left, kicks a 56-yard field goal, which in the NFL, 56 yards is not crazy. In college, that's a big deal. Right down the middle, win the game. I genuinely thought when SMU came back, they were going to go and win the game in overtime. But Clemson said, fuck you and fuck that, and they won in regulation off the field goal. Now, it was worrisome who was going to get in, who was not going to get in. Both of these teams are in the college football playoff. So, again, both teams are happy with the result. You can't fault any of them. Would it have been better if SMU won and kicked out Clemson? Probably, especially for viewership-wise. But Clemson went out there and played. Dabo coached a great game. It was an overall wonderful performance by Clemson. SMU played great too. I can't fault SMU. They should have been a little bit tighter earlier in the game. And if they played it a little bit tighter earlier, they would have won this game. But again, you could say that all you want now because you saw the result of the game. SMU should have been playing better from the start, but they didn't. Clemson came, they were ready, and they balled the fuck out. Clemson earned that playoff spot hard. And so did SMU. SMU had a great season. It would have been a travesty to leave out SMU just for this loss. In a loss in which, if they got blown out, fine, I could see the argument. But it was a great game. They pushed a great comeback, and they almost won it too. Absolutely great conference championship weekend, even though I got my ass handed to me. Great games. Stay tuned for my college football playoff reactions coming real soon. And yes, the presidents will be predicting the college football playoff as well.